Hi, today I'm going to do a little bit more about planning for change, making change happen, and about making your change as effective as possible. So today's Facebook Live is entitled Take Action. So we've talked quite a bit about planning, and you can find the details on my previous Facebook Lives either on my website at www.lilacpearl.co.uk or on my Facebook page by scrolling down. So you can discover of how to plan for your change and how to make your change most effective, finding out about motivation and other bits and pieces, handy tips. But you've done your planning. You've planned it probably to death by now. And one of the tips is don't keep planning. Unfortunately, planning isn't enough to make that change happen. It can be terribly effective. It can make sure that you do actually want that change and to drive that forward, but it doesn't actually get that change for you. To get that change, you need to do something. And that something needs to be something different to what you currently do regarding the area you want to change. It's no good repeating that same behaviour, but just because you've got a plan in place, expecting it to be different. You have to do something different. Now that something different can feel very uncomfortable, very scary. It can be associated with risk. So it's quite reasonable that some of it is scary. The advice is don't go for the big bang, especially not on the first time. The advice is to take it slowly in small steps. Start with part of the change that is low risk to you and of low impact. Try something simple. I was working with a client just a couple of days ago, and we were talking about learning how to say no to people. I think that's quite a common one with many people. It's very easy to say yes, be very compliant, very helpful, and overload yourself. So we were talking about saying no, and the advice that I gave was don't choose meeting with your boss or bosses as the first time you try this out. That's kind of big risk and potentially high impact. If you were to make that change right at that point with a boss or with somebody of significance and it were to go wrong, you may lose your job or something like that. So the advice is to start with something that is a change that is of low risk and low impact. So try out no, I'm sorry, I can't do that with a partner, a loved one, maybe somebody in a supermarket who asks for something off a shelf. Something where the risk is low and the impact of you maybe not getting it quite right is low. Once you've done this, once you've taken that step to do something different to affect your change, you need to have a look at how that went for you. You have to reflect on how did it go? Did you lose your job? Was it terribly scary? Was it as bad as you expected it to be? Or actually, was it okay? And if it was okay, what do you want to do next time? So what we're talking about here is reflecting on how it went, comparing it against the expectation of what you had, and learning from that change that you made. One of the other things that we need to consider is, do you need to update your change plan as a result? You may have found that it was so easy to do that actually your change plan can accelerate. You may have found that it was a wee bit more challenging than you expected and you want to do something equally of a similar risk and similar impact again before you move on to the next step. Plans are there to help you get what you want and to support you through it. It's not about sticking to it rigidly, it's about adapting that so that it gives you the best change that you possibly can. So that's a little bit about actually taking action. So we've looked at motivation, we've looked at planning for your change, and we've now looked at taking action. Next time we'll have a look at who you want on your journey with you, We've talked a little bit about self-sabotage and other people's sabotage, and we'll start to wind this topic up and start to look for a new one. Thank you ever so much for watching, and I'll see you soon. Bye.